大家好，欢迎回来，这是台湾话发音第二课。So welcome back for part 2 of the Taiwanese pronunciation series. In part 1, I talked about the initials, the sounds at the front of a syllable. And today I'm going to talk about the back half of the syllable, the finals. So that's the vowels, and there's a few consonants that can come at the end. You'll see those at the top right-hand side. So the vowel sounds are a, e, and oo. So the o is not an o like you might expect. It's an sound, like in the English word or a dog. A, e, oo. And the only one that's a little bit tricky is the I, because it can be a long I or a short I. So I'm speaking for English, so that would be e or I. But it can also be this kind of weird diphthong that sounds like ia. But I'll cover that when we get to it. Then you'll see there's a few consonants available too, and I'm just going to pick out two really quickly. The other ones are pretty self-explanatory. But the H, I just want to point out, is not actually an H sound at the end of the word. What it is you stop the sound very quickly, like in the middle of the English word, uh-oh. So go ahead and say that word now, uh-oh. And try to focus on the stop in between the and the o, uh-oh. So instead of saying uh-oh, we actually say uh-oh. And the H here, when you see an H in a Taiwanese pinyin, that's going to be that sort of quick stop, unless there's a tone change. So don't worry too much about the tones yet, and just listen to me. If I stop, then that's going to be how you want to say it. The other one I'm going to point out is the NN, the double N. It's not actually an N sound. What it is a very, very nasal kind of sound that goes up into your nose. And one of the ways you can try it, if you can't get it right away, is pinch your nose shut with your fingers and try and say the sound that way. So if you just look at the fourth word very quickly on the left there, you'll see that the word is P-H-A-I-N-N. So forget the N-N. If we forgot that, it would just be pie. But the N-N makes it nasal, so it's going to sound like pie. Pie. And you can do that, like I said, say the word pie, and then pinch your nose shut. Pie. Okay, that's what it sounds like when your nose is shut. Pie. Versus pie. So you want to try and be able to say that, obviously, without holding your nose shut. Just practice it a little while, and you'll get it. Pie. Okay, so for this one, since there's so many, I'm just going to read straight through them, and I'll make a little commentary along the way when there's something interesting going on. Okay, the English and Chinese character, you can read it yourself. Here we go. A, ta, a, va, I, zai, I, pai, ak, tak, ham, an, zan, ang, tang, a, sa, ap, zap, at, tat, ao, gao. Okay, those are all the ones that start with an A. And then the E's are quite straightforward. There's only three. E, te, e, te, e, be. Okay, now we're coming to the I's, and there's quite a few of these. And I'm going to have to stop a couple of times and point out where the sound changes. So there's a few sound changes. Remember, there's E, there's I, there's Y. And then there's also, oddly enough, sometimes for the IA, it only happens twice. It's actually read as eh. Okay, so I'll just go through them, and I'll point out where the sound changes are. E, he, ya, jia, yum, giam. Okay, here's a sound change. En, Zen. All right, and then back to normal. Yang, xiang. Now, if you look at this one, if you're familiar with another Chinese language, probably Mandarin, you'll notice that there's two characters and only one syllable, and this happens in Taiwanese sometimes. What happens is basically a contraction, like in English, where two words, maybe can, not, become contracted into one sound in one word, can't. That happens in Taiwanese. So here we've got xialang, which means what person, and it becomes xiang, single word, single syllable. Okay, moving on. Ya, gia, yap, jap. Here's a sound change again. It's the sound. Et, zit. Okay, so there's two of those, the IAN and the IAT. IAN was N, Zen, and IAT is Et, jet. Okay, moving on. Yao, hiao. E, D. Okay, now here's the Y sound, the weird diphthong sound. Y, there's two of them, IK and ING. So IK is yek, shiek, yek, shiek. Okay, moving on. Now for the IM and the IN, it's kind of odd, but this is how it works. IM is short, so we have im, shim, and IN is long, so we have in, jin. Okay, real quick, one more time. Im, shim, in, jin. And then the ING, we go back to that crazy diphthong thing. So, ing, bing. Okay, and then last one on this column is a nasal. E, t. All right, there we go. Okay, now at the top of the next column, we've got our first O. So remember, it's not O, it's So this word is xia, ya, xia, ya, dia, yong, xiong, ip, ship, it, hit, you, xiu, you, chew. Okay, so those are all the I's. I know that's a little bit tough. Maybe go back and watch the last couple of minutes again when you get to the end of this video. Okay, now we've got some nasal sounds, and they can actually stand by themselves in Taiwanese, which is a little bit unnerving at first, but it's okay, you'll get used to it. So the first one, there's only one word, I think, that has this sound. The entire syllable is just an M. And it means no, so you have to use it a lot. But you get quite used to it. The next one is a little bit funny if you've never done it before. It's just an NG by itself. So there's a few different words that sound like that in Taiwanese, but the most common one is going to be yellow. Also, a last name spelled the same with the same Chinese character. And sometimes with the NG, you'll find that there's no vowel written in the pinyin. So in that case, the N, or the NG rather, is actually going to become the vowel. And this one sounds like tongue, tongue. So we add a schwa sound in there. Tongue. And the reason we don't write an O, because remember, O in Taiwanese sounds like The reason we don't write the O is because O-N-G has a different sound, which I'll get to later. So NG, tongue. Alright, and now we'll get back on track a little bit, go through the O's. There's only a few of those. And then the double O, and then the U's, and then we'll be done. Okay, here we go for the O's. K, D, ok, dok, ong, hong. Okay, so there's the different sound. So that's why we don't write the O when we have an NG by itself, like tongue, because we use an O for the ong sound. Hong. Oh, and I'll just point out really quick, the OK one, the O-T-O-K, my example there, ok, tok. That's actually a really popular word that you've probably heard before in Taiwan, part of a really popular word. It means foreigner. It actually means basically big nose. As you can see, the Chinese character means beak. So they usually say atoga to refer to a foreigner. Atoga. Okay, moving on. At the top right, we've got our only O-O sound. And O-O in Taiwanese sounds like O. So there's the missing O sound. So O-O is O, Ho. That's rain. And moving on, finally, we've got the U's. And these are a bit more straightforward. U, gu. Wa, dua, wa. Zwa. Wai, moi. Wai, guai. Wan, zuan. Wa, swan, wat, guat, wei, gui, wei, hui, u, su, we, kui, un, bun, ut, but. Okay, so that's it for all of the Taiwanese finals. You've got the finals themselves, and you've got an example for each one. Try to read over this list yourself. But now, when we're doing our more advanced lessons later on, you shouldn't have any problems reading all of the Taiwanese that we see, because there's nothing else to learn in terms of the initials and finals pronunciation. So that's very good so far. Stay tuned for part 3, where I'm going to cover the tones, and then part 4, I'll cover the tone changes, because those deserve a video all by themselves. They're quite complicated, maybe even more than one video. We'll see how it goes. But the tone changes are a pain in the butt, to say the least, in Taiwanese. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. Go back and check out part 1 and part 2. Review them for the next tone videos coming up next time. Good luck, and thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and stay tuned. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. If so, don't forget to hit that subscribe button right there. Leave a comment down below. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. And thanks for watching. I'll see you again next time.